and how he could trust Putin's willingness to cooperate bilaterally, considering his close relationship with President Xi. But Trump insisted that both Xi and Putin want better relations with the U.S.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer continuing to face criticism from his fellow Democrats for supporting a Republican government funding bill in the Senate last week, with some Democrats calling for him to step down as party leader. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds says he believes they can't agree on a message.
They don't know what they're doing. They really don't have a message. They don't have a vision to give the American people. What are the actual policies they're talking about? They don't have those. And so they resort to this. Influencers of the State of the Union, Chuck Schumer looking like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. None of this stuff is really working.
Former Obama fundraiser Allison Wynn says the Democrat Party is broken.
We need to focus on America First agenda. That's what President Trump is doing. President Trump has broken the Democratic Party, and this is their response. President Trump is actually doing the real fighting for the American public, fighting on the world stage for world peace. And he's fighting to have trade equality with China, Mexico, Canada. He's fighting to bring in foreign direct investments. He's brought $2 trillion worth of foreign direct investments into the country.
Parents in Illinois are speaking out against a proposed homeschooling bill that they say is an overreach that infringes on parental rights. Garrett Tenney has more from Springfield, Illinois.
The state capitol is packed. Thousands of families are here rallying against this proposed bill that would create new regulations around homeschooling. The Homeschool Act would require parents to notify their local school districts that they plan to homeschool their kids by filling out a form with all of their personal information. Now, if they don't do that, they could be charged with a Class C misdemeanor that's punishable by up to 30 days in jail and fines of up to $500. Now, sponsors of the bill say it's meant to ensure kids are safe and being educated, but parents say it's a massive government overreach.
A Christian organization is looking at its options after its application to become an official accreditation agency was rejected. Chris Woodward has more.
The Association of Christian Schools International, or ACSI, says it fulfilled all the requirements to be recognized by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as an accrediting agency for private schools. But ACSI's attorney Randall Winger says it was denied by the State Board of Education recognition simply because it focuses on religious education, and that's religious discrimination.
What they said was Christian schools aren't licensed by the state of Pennsylvania. I'm grateful that Christian schools aren't licensed by the state of Pennsylvania, but because they're not licensed, they said they need not be accredited. And it's true that Christian schools need not be accredited. But many schools that don't have to be accredited by the state want to be accredited because it shows everyone involved that they meet the highest standards. So Christian schools can go to other accrediting agencies, but the state said that it's not going to recognize ACSI because ACSI focuses on Christian schools. That's the part that is religious discrimination.
AFN is seeking comment from the Pennsylvania Board of Education. I'm Chris Woodward.
U.S. stocks are drifting higher as Wall Street waits to hear what the Federal Reserve will say about where interest rates may be heading. More news online at afn.net. I'm Rusty P.
Hey, we're announcing a weekend with AFA on Thursday, October the 2nd through Saturday, October the 4th. We'll have a weekend get-together with AFA leadership and supporters. It's a chance for all of us to get better acquainted.
It's a weekend with AFA, Thursday, October 2nd through Saturday, October 4th in Tupelo, Mississippi. Speakers will include Abraham Hamilton III, Jenna Ellis, Tim Barton, Tim Wildmon, and more. Register at afa.net/weekend.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Today's Wednesday, March the 19th, 2025. In case you're wondering what to write on your checks today, you don't have to write Wednesday. Just right, 319.25. All right, Ed Vitagliano joins me. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning.
You write checks?
Well, it's funny when you said that. We hardly ever write checks anymore.
Right.
I have an appointment this afternoon for the company that put our HVAC unit in a couple of years ago, just to come do a little maintenance checkup before the summer. And so I said, how do you pay? Cash, check, card, what? They said, well, cash or check is preferable. If you use the card, you get charged 3%. And so now I just wonder if people will start drifting back to writing checks or paying
Because of
cash.
credit card fees?
Yep.
Yeah, because of fees, even for your debit card.
Yes.
For your debit card.
Yeah.
Hey, Wesley Wildmon, good morning, Wesley.
Glad to be here.
Fred Jackson.
Yes.
Fred, you're just shaking your head.
Yeah, day of celebration.
Why is that?
I got my notice from Atmos this morning.
We're
going to get our heat back.
Yeah.
It's kind of emotional.
That's been the thing around this part of the state of Mississippi where our flagship station is. They had a natural gas mishap.
Yes.
Put 2 individuals in the hospital and almost 20,000 residences and restaurants. No gas.
No gas.
No hot showers.
But it's
no
getting
cooking.
but it's taken a few days, but it's getting
slowly getting back.
We're at day 9 or 10.
Yep.
And
it's about 10
So what
days.
about you been what you been doing for? I don't mean to get personal about your hygiene, Fred, but what about
He's not been
you
showering, I'll just tell
Have you
you.
been able to shower?
I'm taking the cold showers.
Cold showers.
I'm taking the
Canadians
cold
do that.
miserable.
That doesn't bother them.
Do you know what? If you want to wake up in the morning,
it's not American.
Well, I know he's Canadian.
There you go.
He learned how to shower in the cold in Canada. Is what I'm saying.
I've
It
had
doesn't bother
several
him.
friends of mine that's had to do that, and then they later find out that they had a family or a friend or a family that was that had hot shower and they just didn't say anything, or they didn't.
That's me.
That's you. Yeah.
I had some people ask me to use my shower.
Not doing it.
I said because I have electricity.
Yeah.
First, I just didn't answer them. I just, you know what I'm saying? I tried to be polite and just not answer them. And then finally got forced yesterday. And, hey, I said, well, I'm just sorry. I ain't inviting a bunch of people over to my house to take showers. So if that makes me a bad person, so be it.
Those of us who are depending
even if they're
on
family.
Yeah.
Those of us who are depending on gas now are taking notes.
Yeah, I know.
Because when the electricity goes
out, and it's going to be they're going to return the favor. No, you're not coming over to our house.
I was talking to a friend yesterday about this. The same gentleman I was talking about earlier or just now, and I told him, I said I would almost drive a half hour, maybe a little more, to get a hot shower and then before I went to work or before the day started or at night or something. But it's about 30 minutes. I'd drive 30 minutes for a hot shower.
One of our staff here is boiling water. Been boiling water.
Oh.
Get, like a Little House on the Prairie baths. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That never crossed my mind, but I would not get out of my mind now.
I'd rather take a cold shower. But
no.
We have things we need to get to that are far more creative than that. With
Creative?
SpaceX.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, creative, yeah.
I mean, because that's creative. Little House on the Prairie, going back, boiling water.
Boiling water.
But
Boiling
we've advanced a lot since then.
But we got a spacecraft that splashed into a whole bunch of water.
Yes, there you go.
Hey,
Nice
like that
transition.
segue.
Yes. What a spectacular scene late yesterday afternoon off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
Now, Tallahassee's not on the coast. Did you know this?
Well, almost.
Almost. He said,
It's like 50 miles from the coast.
Yes.
If you
Dad,
almost hit the coast in Tallahassee, it could be a bad ending.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying to you.
But I just want to say it did not land in the Gulf of Mexico. It landed in the Gulf of America.
It was off. It was off Panama City Beach, out there in the Gulf of
America.
Yeah, say it.
This is Gulf America. This is what happens when someone gets a hot shower and it goes to his head.
Right. I'm ready to go. So what happened?
Anyway,
it was a great day, wasn't it?
NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, and I think most people know the story now, they got captured up at the space station for 9 months. They were only supposed to stay there a couple of days, but the Boeing spacecraft, something went wrong with it. they could not come home. So they've been up in the space station for 9 months now. Finally, Elon Musk and his SpaceX said, hey, we'll make it available to go up and pick you two folks up. That's exactly what they did. A couple days ago, they went up there, picked them up, and yesterday that spacecraft came back. And it was exciting. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can see the whole thing on YouTube. And we've captured a little bit of the audio from the SpaceX announcer as the spacecraft was coming down last evening. Cut number 9.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
It went off without a flaw.
Now, explain who those people were that were clapping.
That's all the SpaceX people who work on these things. One of the interesting facts when I was just watching this morning and listening to the commentary, this spacecraft comes through the atmosphere at 17,000 miles an hour. And by the time it touched down with those 4 big parachutes, it was down to about 13, 14 miles per hour. It was just spectacular, the whole operation.
There was at least 2 layers of parachutes. One that, as it...
The initial 2.
Yep.
That breaks the speed.
That's
and
right.
then they let out those 4 big ones.
Now, I guess it floats, right? I mean, or were they just close by? Or
No, it floated until the recovery vessels came in.
And all of this used to be solely the federal government doing this. And then SpaceX, and they call it the SpaceX Dragon. And we've all, I guess most people have seen videos of SpaceX rockets after they go up into space and deploy a satellite or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they don't just crash, land, or stay up in the atmosphere, becoming more space junk. They actually come back to Earth and land. You see these big arms gripping it. It's phenomenal, the technology that Elon Musk's SpaceX has deployed. And he wants to go to Mars, which I think is crazy. But this is how things
Crazy
advance.
as in wild, or crazy as in he's mentally unstable?
No, there are so many technological hurdles to putting human beings on Mars so they can survive.
Yeah.
Because it's a long journey too. You can't just say, "Oh, well, like this here," where SpaceX says we'll send up a recovery and a craft and take them home, and it's a few days.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I'm curious. I didn't read. How long did it take from the time they left Earth to there and back?
I guess it was just a few days, wasn't it? When did this rocket go?
It only takes a matter of hours to get there to the space station.
Okay.
Coming back, they did a couple of rotations around the Earth, and then settled down last evening.
That's just fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff usually doesn't interest. It's not something I go out of my way to study or look up. But when you come across this, like I'm doing now, it's fascinating that we can send people around that go just around, float or fly around the Earth.
Yep. They use the Earth's gravity pull, and they put it into a trajectory around, and that's been going on. See, what happened is the federal government basically stopped funding this.
Yeah.
And NASA contracted with Boeing and with SpaceX. And you remember the Boeing spacecraft that took Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams up, there was a problem with it. And they had to return that spacecraft empty. That's what happened. They got stuck up there for 9 months.
I want to know the real reason, and maybe Elon Musk has already shared this. I know he and one of the astronauts confirmed it, who reaffirmed what Elon Musk has said. I want to know, is it true that these 2 astronauts could have been brought down a few months back, for example, but were denied the opportunity because President Biden said, no, you can't go get them? Is that true or not?
The one of the astronauts, Butch Wilmore, was asked that by a reporter 2 weeks ago, and he said that's exactly what happened.
That's appalling if that's true.
Yeah, Elon Musk says this. He
Yes.
made this available. Well, now it's about a month ago, and no, before the election. Pardon me.
Yes.
Before the election, and Elon Musk says we made the offer, but we were turned down when Biden was still president, and they believe it's for political reasons.
But the astronaut that was interviewed was specific in saying
Yes.
that it was for political
Yes.
reasons.
And that does another layer of proof, or what do you call it? Subjective evidence, because it's one thing for Elon Musk to say that, even though I'm not saying he's misleading people, but for the left to hear it from an astronaut, that's undeniable. I mean, at that point, you just have to concede that's what happened, unless there's any other evidence. Unless Joe Biden's former President Joe Biden, unless he or his administration is going to come out and deny it.
Right.
I mean,
well, yes, I would like to hear more on this.
Well, it is a fact that Elon Musk's and SpaceX
turned down
could have
yeah,
gotten
absolutely.
them. And Elon Musk said we offered. So I'm guessing he's not lying about that.
So Biden or whoever was going to control the White House would have said no, no, thank you.
They would have had to have said no. Now, as to what the motivation was behind that,
I'll tell you what the motivation was. Excuse me for interrupting you. The motivation was Elon Musk was aligned with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
In the run for the presidency, and if Biden had let Elon Musk go up and get these two, the spotlight would have been on him. Well, who's he affiliated with? Who's he supporting? Because he's a successful guy. Well, he's supporting Donald Trump for president. Well, that makes Trump look good. Biden's saying if Biden is even in control. Again, that big caveat. I don't want him to get credit. So I'm.
What
just
other
gonna,
explanation could there be?
Right, I'm just going to leave them stuck up there in space.
Yeah. They're supposed to be up there for a week to 10 days.
Yeah.
They were up there for 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
And the reason was the Boeing craft had a problem with it. I think it was something to do with the docking. And SpaceX could have gotten them down, and they offered. And what other explanations
Imagine if that's
could
your
there be?
family member and you learn this. You learn that the previous administration were denied going to get your uncle, your mom, your son because political reasons. I mean, that would be.
Fred, do you have any idea whether the mainstream media has covered this rescue? I know Fox has. Have they been covering this?
The Associated Press did something with it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, good.
Well, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, go start look at this, because I'm
not on
already
this show, and I guard against it. I'm here. That's my mission.
Mission control.
Between that and the popcorn.
Yeah.
No, this is just awesome. You got to go video wise. You got to go look at. You got to go watch the video. Then I got so many questions. Just watching this.
You mean how this works?
Yes, how this works.
Well,
I need to go find. Was it Discovery Channel that used to have how it works, or?
Yeah, before they started focusing on aliens.
I always wondered, when I'm looking around this room and I'm not seeing much understanding of NASA.
The scientific brain power.
Or aerospace engineering. I'm just not seeing it in y'all's eyes.
You didn't want to use the word dynamics there? Is it?
Yeah, I'm
dynamics?
seeing.
The scientific brain power inside of this studio.
Right.
Could
is non-existent
fit in a juice box.
All right, so
in an astronaut
you know what?
juice box.
But somebody does.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Evidently, evidently, and obviously, we have some great engineering minds in this country.
Yes.
And internationally, but going all the way back to the space program of the 60s. And the 50s and the 60s, and we put a man on the moon in 1969, right?
Right.
If you believe that.
Oh,
What? Am I the only person who's skeptical?
I am not skeptical.
We're going to get into the JFK
I am
files
not
in just a minute.
skeptical at all.
This is
We
not
landed
the
on the
hole I
moon.
was talking about.
Okay. So anyway, it is amazing the God-giving talents that these folks have to be able to put together a spacecraft in the first place that goes into the outer space and
it doesn't burn up.
Yeah, it doesn't burn up, doesn't do things.
It has
operates efficiently.
How does it have enough? These are just mine's
right.
oxygen. How do they have enough oxygen for 9 months?
Right.
I know. Got an answer?
Yeah, they're in canisters, compressed.
Hold on. I can't tell. I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna go.
Canisters.
We're gonna go to Fred here. Fred.
Well, remember Apollo 13, the one that had the explosion. In space. Well, the reason there are gases that go with the spacecraft that produce oxygen and also absorb the carbon dioxide that the astronauts are producing. So they figure all that out too, and that's the extent that I know of that.
Well, I'll pick it up from there, Fred, because my knowledge exceeds that. But if you're just thinking about this, somewhere back there they had to have the first meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, at NASA or whatever. Hey, let's get Bill and Roy and Eugene together Monday morning, because you know what? We're going to orbit the Earth. Okay, so make sure everybody's there. At this meeting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody had to have this first meeting, and I will say this too. America, there's something, and no disrespect to any other country, because everybody's got their specialty. But American ingenuity, as it's called, is on full display in human history, unparalleled by any other country. And it's not because of the genetics of the people who happen to live in Montana or Florida or New Hampshire or whatever. There's nothing about that separates somebody that lives in Japan or Canada or the Congo or whatever. Here's the thing. It's the American entrepreneurial and spirit and the freedom that we are allowed in this country to explore and to invent and to I need to be a speaker like at a graduation. Are you hearing this?
I'm here.
This is just
inspired.
flowing off the top of my head.
I got goosebumps.
Well, see, I invented goosebumps.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know that.
You took my attention away from the video here.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Well, I'm just saying that if you look at the history of our country, because of freedom and liberty, and also the right to make money from your hard work and your inventions.
I want to interrupt you, but the word
Elon
patent
Musk
is a big deal.
Patent.
In America.
Yes, intellectual property. You look at Elon Musk. Of course, he's from South Africa originally, but he came to the U.S. to study, and then he started companies in the U.S. Why? Because he could make, because he likes the challenge, obviously, but he can make a lot of money. And he became the richest man in the world. So I'm just saying, if you look over the history of the U.S., and you will see how many contributions we have made to the advancement of humankind, and it's because of freedom.
Hot
and
showers.
liberty. Yeah, and hot showers. Hot showers are something we take for granted.
Hey, microwave popcorn, frozen pizza.
Right.
You're welcome,
Keep
world.
on going, Ed. Keep naming the top 10 listed American contributions.
By the way, Elon Musk stopped off in Canada before he came to the States.
Oh, that's
I just wanted.
Yeah, he picked up some stuff in Canada too. All right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Fred.
One more thing on the astronauts. Be praying for them.
Yeah.
They have a big physiological recovery, both of these individuals, because living in zero gravity for 9 months does some weird things to your muscles, to your bone density.
Yeah, can they even walk?
No, they were carried out last night. They just, that's what happens. Zero
Do you
gravity.
lose muscle mass? I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, big time. So be praying for them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And they will go to the White House as soon as they're able.
Yes.
That's what President Trump said.
Yeah.
About this.
Well, and also congratulations to Elon Musk and his team and SpaceX for getting it done.
And Elon Musk was gracious too, because he said, this is what Elon Musk said. Thanks to the excellent work of the SpaceX team working with NASA, the astronauts are now safely home, and so congratulations to the SpaceX, NASA teams on our excellent work. So Elon Musk congratulating both his company and NASA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. We only have a few minutes before the break. Let's stay with Elon Musk.
Okay.
Because he is being persecuted right now because of his association with Donald Trump. We have a story on afn.net, where it kind of outlines the violence that is being carried out against individual Tesla cars, Tesla dealerships, Molotov cocktails being used to explode Tesla cars in Portland, Oregon, in Seattle, windows being shot out. And it's under investigation now. Trump's Justice Department, Pam Bondi, Attorney General, and Trump is calling it domestic terrorism is what's going on right now, all because, and remember, Elon Musk was a hero of the left not too long ago. And everybody was saying, go out and buy Tesla cars. Now, because of association with Donald Trump, you really do have domestic terrorism going on out there against these vehicles. So far, the good news, no individual has been hurt, but these businesses are under attack, all because he's trying to do something for the president.
Yeah, these aren't just protests.
No.
There have been some protests, but these you're talking about aren't just protests where people are, First Amendment,
That's right.
demanding that Elon Musk stop doing this or whatever. This is lighting cars on fires, dealerships on fire. I've seen a number of videos, and this is small numbers, but on X, videos of people keying a Tesla, just a random Tesla in a parking lot. Yeah. They just walk up and destroy it, and carve it up simply because it's a Tesla and they don't like Elon Musk. The left has lost its mind.
Yeah.
And that's becoming clearer and clearer.
Well, they had one, though, right, at one time?
They did, apparently.
Have a mind?
Yeah, had a mind. They've lost it.
I keep hearing about the blue-collar Democrats, your granddad's Democrat, that kind of thing. I don't actually remember those days, but the way it's described is far from what we're seeing now.
Yeah, that, as the expression goes, that was not your dad's Democratic Party.
Yep, that one.
That used to be a traditional kind of more classical liberal perspective and worldview. Republicans were conservative, Democratic Party was liberal, but the Democratic Party's been almost completely taken over by radical leftists.
Yep.
Hijacked. And that's why normal Democrats, I use air quotes, are so distraught about who's in charge of our party and where's it headed.
All right, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Lots more stories to get to and to cover that are in the news. Also, our good friend Robert Gagnon will be with us in a few minutes. He says that the Democrat Party, speaking of the Democrat Party today, in some ways are supporting our demons.
Demonic,
I should say. And that may sound funny to people, but he's got his reasons, and he'll be back to talk about it when we continue.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Paul has some words for us in 2 Corinthians. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that by his poverty you might become rich. I'm a rich man. Some people I know will deny that. They look at my salary, my bank account, what possessions I have. They by no means consider me a rich man. They wouldn't even go so far as say that I was in the middle bracket, much less in the upper bracket. But like I said, I'm a rich man. I'm a rich man. I'm rich because of my heritage. I came from a home where parents loved me, provided for my needs to the best of their ability, sacrificed things they very much needed so that I could have advantages they never had. I'm a rich man. I have a wife who loves me. She puts up with all my faults, stands beside me, pulls for me when the going is rough. No, she's no Hollywood star. But most of the stars in Hollywood cannot hold a light to her when it comes to real beauty. Yes, I'm a rich man. I have 4 wonderful children. I have 5 grandchildren. Children and grandchildren who give hope and promise of a better tomorrow. I love them, want the best for them, and try to bring them up in a Christian environment like my parents did before me. I'm a rich man. I have a job, a very meaningful job. Not much money in it, nor prestige, but it gives me a chance to help my fellow man, to lift the sights of others to a higher level, give my life to a cause that will leave the world a better place in which to live. I'll probably never reach the top of my profession, but I can face life knowing I did my best in the job which I felt my Creator wanted me to do. I have a job which I consider important because He considers it important. And again, I'm a rich man. I want to say it one more time. I'm a rich man. I live in a free country. Millions and millions of people cannot know the richness of that. They live under the shadow of a dictator. Millions more here in the country where I live have never realized that freedom is an obligation, not a license. Thus they are poor. Poor because they have not learned that freedom is not a license to drag men down into the depths of filth, but that freedom is an obligation to lift myself and my fellow man to greater and greater heights, pressing on toward that high mark to which our Maker calls us. Again, I'll say it, I'm a rich man. I have friends who are friends. They stay with me through the good times and the bad. They encourage me. They cause me to try harder. They keep me from giving up. When the clouds of darkness are around me, these friends of mine are beside me. They're true friends. The doors to their homes are open to me as mine is to them. I'm a rich man. I've found what many still are searching for. I've found forgiveness and understanding and help. I found them in a crucified Galilean. He takes my weaknesses and makes me strong. He takes my fears and makes me brave. He takes my doubts and makes me believe. He assures me of what every person wants to know, that there will be life after death for me. Like I said, I'm a rich man. Oh, by the way, can I borrow a dime?
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. 1 Peter 1:13.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Again, we're all happy here for the 2 astronauts and their families and the team at SpaceX and NASA for bringing the 2 astronauts home who've been stuck up in the International Space Station for 9 months when they signed up for a week. Huh?
I'm glad we spent the whole first segment on it. It deserved that.
Yeah.
It deserved the whole segment.
And you need to go watch. If you haven't seen the video, you need to go watch it of the splashdown. It's pretty incredible. So, again, 9 months. I can't, imagine.
And it's not like they had.
Who broke the news to them Who broke the news? This is where you send it. This is where you send a text. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm not getting on the video with them going, "Hey, so how's it going, guys?"
Yeah, good news and bad news.
Yeah, we got good
news
and bad
mostly bad news.
So, you got plenty of food, right? Okay, well, it's going to be not much before we're able to bring y'all home. I'm sorry, what?
Well, if Elon Musk had not done this, how long would they been up there?
That's true.
Oh, RIP'd.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That is bizarre.
Anyway,
I didn't mean to bring it up.
I saw this is one commercial where a fella is, I don't know what they're advertising. Maybe they're advertising a cell phone service or whatever. And anyway, it's a office setting, and they're like 3 office staff, and they're like talking amongst themselves, and then in comes their HR or supervisor, and it says, and then he makes the gentleman makes a comment to the people, and then he walks away and he starts texting, and one of the people say, well, he always delivers good news in person and bad news by text. So they were expecting bad news to be coming their way because he was walking away texting.
That's funny.
Anyway, all right, so we want to welcome back to our program Robert Gagnon, and he is a visiting scholar at Wesley Biblical Seminary, also a prolific writer, and comments and does articles on culture, politics, religion, and American the Judeo-Christian values, American way of life, all those things. Robert writes on church and state, and he joins us now because he wrote a very provocative article right here. How you doing, Robert?
I'm doing well, although I'm a little surprised that you accused me of a provocative article.
I know. Well, most of them are pretty bland, to be honest with you, and just okay.
Well, who was it that said that in times of whatever, I can't remember the exact quote, telling the truth is a radical act?
I know. I know.
Provocative.
Well, okay, so I teased this segment saying you were going to be on by saying you had used the word demonic to describe some things that the Democrat Party was supporting. Was I right about that?
Yes, I would just sharpen it a little to say that the party itself is demonic. And I think Christians now need to own up to the truth on this issue, that we have two main parties. They're both non-Christian, although one of them is certainly more responsive to Christian concerns, because Christians make up a larger percentage of that party than the other. They're both non-Christian, but only one is demonic. And the reason for that is I think we know, your hearers know who we're talking about here, but there's only one party that makes as its reason for existence, its raison d'etre, LGBTQ immorality and abortion. And it's defining those two things as idols of this party that define this party as demonic. And I want readers to remember this, or hearers to remember this, and that is that Christians cannot empower a party whose two greatest idols affect the destruction of God's two greatest creation concerns. Let me repeat that. Christians cannot empower a party whose two greatest idols effect the destruction of God's two greatest concerns in creation.
Amen. Well, amen. I mean, amen in the sense that you are correct, sir. Let me tell folks, I know, Wesley, you have the next question for Robert, but this is an excellent article that we're discussing by our guest, Robert Gagnon, Gagnon. And we have posted on our Today's Issues Facebook page, and you can find it there. Today's Issues, our Facebook page, and the articles by Robert Gagnon, our guest. And the headline is, our two main parties are non-Christian, but only one is demonic. This originally appeared in the American Spectator, for those wanting to know. Wesley, your question for Robert?
Yes, Robert, this is Wesley here. Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, because we have, as Christians and our listening audience, we engage with those that disagree with us, throughout the week. And so we need to be able to have a good answer for this. And so you got two parties. Obviously, everything you've said, I completely agree with. However, how do you handle the issue of, well, the Republicans, they have their issues as well, and are not all sins equal? Or not, or you know what I mean?
Yes, and what we first have to say is, no, all sins are not equal. Some sins are far more injurious and detrimental to God's creation than other sins. And this is a constant view running throughout Scripture, that some sins are more severe than other sins, right? Take a classic example of Israel in the wilderness at Mount Sinai. And God tells Moses to go down because Israel is sinning a great sin. Well, you can't have a great sin if all sins are equal. So some sins are more severe than others because they strike at the very heart of creation. And creation, what are the two most significant elements of the creation text in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2? They are Genesis 1:27, male and female, God created them in his image and in his likeness. So human image bearing integrated with the creation of two primary sexual counterparts, the only two sexes that God ever intentionally created. And then the other main text is in Genesis 2:21 to 24, about the institution of marriage, which reinforces this point about the creation of male and female biologically. Sexual counterparts complementary to each other on the level of anatomy and physiology and even psychology, the organization of their bodies for sexuality and reproduction. And those two texts are widely recognized in early Christian circles as the most important texts in the entire Bible for defining human sexuality. Do we know who that was that told us that? That these are the two most important texts? Jesus himself. So when Jesus dealt with a question about sexuality in Mark 10, parallel in Matthew 19, what did he do? He singled out those two texts. Male and female, he created them, and that's in the context of bearing God's image and likeness. And also Genesis 2:24, for this reason a man may become joined to a woman, and the two become one flesh. The Democratic Party's two greatest idols are diametrically opposed to these two greatest concerns in creation. What is abortion? Abortion shatters the notion of human image bearing, the imago Dei in human beings, willing to kill innocent human beings for the sake of convenience. And, of course, LGBTQ immorality, and now especially the transgender tyranny, is the other great idol or concern or reason for the existence of the Democratic Party. So when you have a party devoted to two great idols, which themselves are aimed at the destruction of God's two greatest concerns in creation, you have the definition of a demonic party.
Amen.
Fred?
Yeah, Robert, we may have people listening right now, and we may have people sitting in pews in our churches right now who say, I don't agree with abortion, and I stand against transgenderism and homosexuality, but I vote Democrat because there's some other things in that party that I approve of. What do you say to those individuals?
Yes, it doesn't mean just because the Democratic Party is demonic that there aren't other things that somebody might favor. But again, one has to discern what is most significant. And an assault on the two greatest concerns of God in creation defines the party, since these are not only isolated concerns of the party, but they rise to the very top of the party's main concerns. I live in Pennsylvania. As you know, Pennsylvania was the most important swing state in the last election. And virtually every commercial that we had in the 2 months leading up to the election was a campaign commercial. And virtually every single commercial by the Democratic Party featured abortion as their primary concern. Now you say, but what about LGBTQ immorality? That would have featured as their main concern also, if not for the fact that early on they learned in polling that they cannot get any traction in terms of voting on that issue. In fact, they lose votes. And you can argue that what the Trump campaign did is they played the transgender issue in numerous commercials I could see online. Once they got that, it took them a while to get to that point. But once they did, they realized, hey, this gains enormous traction because it touches so many areas of human life. So we can, my point in that is saying, you see how these are the two primary concerns of that party? And not only is it the case that these are the two primary concerns of that party, but how is it that they secure the exaltation of those concerns in society? By a series of other evils, like clamping down on free speech, mandatory transgender pronouns, clamping down on free exercise of religion, forcible indoctrination into LGBTQ immorality of young people, of minors, lawfare against Christians who disagree with them on these two great idols, the appointment of hard left judges that treat the Constitution like silly putty, and all sorts of threats to children, chemical castration, abortion, threats to women, males and female private spaces, sports, shelters, prisons, threat to employment if you don't agree with these two great idols, even if you post on social media outside of work, threats to the home, eliminating parental rights when they conflict with LGBTQ promotion, and threats even on the church and on Christian education. So when we see not only what the two greatest idols are, but also all the ancillary strategies that they use to promote these idols, we see there's no question this is a demonic party.
Yeah. All right, we're talking to Robert Gagnon, Gagnon. The article he wrote is called "Our Two Main Parties Are Non-Christian, but Only One is Demonic." And we posted that on our Today's Issues Facebook page. You can go there and read it. And Robert also serves as a visiting scholar at Wesley Biblical Seminary. You want to give us 30 seconds on Wesley Biblical Seminary?
Great institution. If you want an institution that stands solidly for the Lord, to get an education that's not fearful of human beings, but takes on the central issues of our time, go to Wesley Biblical Seminary.
All right. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
God's blessings to you all.
Thank you. You know, another evidence of this, and as Robert says, and I've talked about this before, the politics in America is secular. By that, I mean non-religious, for in terms of having a religious doctrine or
it's not a theocracy,
a creed or something. It's the political parties are made up of people of all stripes in terms of their religious backgrounds. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay, so
I'm following you so far, but I feel like I'm going to lose you.
No, you're not going to
lose
lose.
me.
Hang in there.
You, though.
Look at me.
All right, I'm looking.
Look at me.
Right.
Film me right here. Okay. But they're made up, those parties, while they're secular, and yeah, just to find how I mean that, non-religious, they are made up of people who are religious or non-religious, as it were. And in the case, and those people have a impact on the policies that are adopted by those parties, in this case, Republican and Democrat.
Yep.
You follow me now?
I'm following you.
So with respect to the Democrats, I don't know where and when this actually happened, because as you guys have said, they have a long storied tradition in our country, and many Christians have been Democrats over the decades. And it used to be that basically Democrats and Republicans were made up of Christians and Jews and people. It was basically 50-50, maybe even more people who were identified as Christians identified as Democrats in the middle of the 20th century.
Add this too, and the two issues that Robert just talked about was not their priority.
No, that's what. So I wrote a column on this that'll be in the next the Stand about the difference between red and blue states and why it exists, and that is the more religious a state is, the more red it is, or the redder it is, and that's just.
Redder's a
and you
good
go,
word,
why is that?
too.
Why is that? It's because the people who go to church in the red states more than the people who go to church in the blue states believe in God, and they believe in the Bible, and they believe in right and wrong. So they have objective
accountability,
and they apply that to their politics. You see what I'm saying? Whereas the hardcore blue folks the hardcore Democrats, they hate us. They hate. In fact, they often talk about people in red states as being uneducated and ignorant, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Unsophisticated, and so they basically have become, a lot of them, godless. And Robert said, but they do have idols, and for some reason, in the last 10 to 20 years in particular, the celebration of abortion, like a golden calf, is become obsessive with the with people who are on the far left, and that's what Robert's talking about.
It's beyond a political exchange, and it doesn't even make sense politically at times for them to continue to obsess over it, yet they continue to do it.
Yeah, so you go, well, there are many issues to consider here.
Yeah, that's right.
And but a lot of these lefties, they just go, no. Well, there are, but the main ones are the right to abortion and the promotion of the LGBTQ. Now, here's the main point I wanted to get to, and having set the backdrop there, and that is this. How many times have I seen interviews with people who are in the Democrat Party over the last year, 2, 3 years, and the question is put to them, now, by a lot of people, by a lot of reporters who are pro-abortion, they won't put this question to them, but you do see it, and they say, when do you want to limit abortion? 3 months, 6 months? When do you, a pro-abortion advocate, or you call yourself pro-choice, when does it cross the line for you? When the baby's coming out the birth canal?
Yeah.
Or when? And they either A, won't answer that question because they know how terrible it sounds to say, no, I'm for abortion through the full 9 months. Or are some of them, in rare a moment of honesty, will say, I don't think you should, that any abortion should be stopped, including right before the baby comes down the birth canal.
Yep.
And in fact, the former governor of Maryland, a Democrat, former governor of Virginia, Northam, was that his name? Remember this infamous interview he did? Democrat. This is before Youngkin. And he was asked about this. What about if the baby is born alive during a botched abortion? What do you do then? And he said, he didn't say you need to try to save the baby's life. He said, well, you put the baby on a table and try to keep it comfortable while it dies.
Yep.
Now, I'm paraphrasing, but not by much. Do you guys remember this?
No, absolutely.
Like it was, I remember like it was yesterday.
I thought that epitomized. So when Robert Gagnon says this is demonic, what I just described as this governor, former governor of Virginia, saying let the baby who survived a botched abortion just die on a table.
Yep.
That's demonic.
It is.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the view that many Democrats have today, unfortunately.
Yep. And just to add one thing, when I interrupted you earlier, just to elaborate a little more. So it's one thing for the Democrats to do this as politics sways and the wind blows and they go, well, this season or this time in history, abortions are things. So politically speaking, we have no God. So therefore we're going to go with this. But when the polls say that it's 25th or 26th or 27th on the list in the 2024 election of people's cares or concerns, the abortions all the way down there, yet they make it their number one in their ads, just goes to show you it is their golden calf.
They are trying to, as best they can, continue to exploit the overturning of Roe versus Wade to scare middle America into believing that the Republicans are going to institute a total abortion ban. And so you need to vote Democrat to keep this from happening. Now, there's no truth to that, okay, that the Republicans are going to try to push for a national abortion ban.
Sure.
American people would not support that. But the Democrats try to use that, kind of like they try to use Social Security. Republicans are going to cut off Social Security, therefore you need to vote for Democrats. You know how this?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen this one before. So when Robert Gagnon is talking, Republicans and Democrats basically in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and begin to change in. basically they disagreed on how can we best pave a highway, or should we spend more on social services or on the military? There were philosophical differences that you could argue either way.
Just war, not just war. Should we get involved in this one, not in that one?
Yes, but they weren't they weren't questions about what defines a man or a woman.
That.
You know what I'm saying? Are questions that are directly in scriptural.
Right.
So Ed, does that?
Yeah, I think it's clear that we've said this many times, the culture war, what we call the culture war or culture wars in this country, if you were to dig down to the central issue, it is, do you believe in God? And do you believe in the God of the Bible? Do you believe that he prefers one set of behaviors or another? Do you believe we're going to answer to God for that? All those kinds of questions are at the center. And because the Democratic Party, by and large, is hostile to the God of the Bible, I go back to 2012 at the convention when they kept the language. So they had some language in their
that was
party
in Charlotte.
platform.
I remember this.
Yeah, some language in the party platform about God. They booed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they did not want God included in the party platform. Okay, so if you're going to be hostile to God, then who's left to make the decisions about your life? I am. And if you look at abortion and the LGBTQ issues, at heart, those are issues that Democrats support because they believe I am in charge of my life and nobody else can tell me what to do, especially God. So if a baby gets in my way, I'm going to run it over through an abortion. And if I want to have sexual relations with whoever I want to, as long as it's consensual and we use protection, then no one can tell me what to do. And that all comes at the core to their issue of who's in charge. Is it God or is it me?
And thank goodness that we have a now I understand we don't always follow it the best and do, we're living in a fallen world, but thank goodness that we have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights and that we live in a country that we do, because we were able to, with time, survive some of these things, because when they use phrases, and the left has hijacked language better than anybody. Mm-hmm. When they say pro-choice, they're only pro-choice on that issue. They weren't pro-choice on the mask. I mean, like there's dozens of issues.
Well, they're not pro-choice for the baby,
right? I mean, well, and
baby has no choice
that's
in
right.
their world.
So but they won the language early on. But with time in America, people start going, no, you're not really pro-choice. With time,
the vast majority of Americans are repelled at the idea of allowing abortion through 9 months of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Now they're not for zero either. I'm talking about the vast majority of American people, but certainly not for where the Democrats are. This extreme idea of abortion being allowed and promoted through 9 months of pregnancy. We'll be back with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Dr. Travis was a man that was full of life.
Bert Harper of Exploring the Word.
He loved the Word of God, and it came across in the classroom. Dr. Travis put in my heart a desire to know God through His Word. And that's what we're trying to do on Exploring the Word.
Exploring the Word, weekday afternoons at 3 Central on American Family Radio. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Another left-wing activist judge has blocked efforts by Elon Musk's Doge team to dismantle USAID.
A Maryland federal judge says the push by Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency team to permanently close the U.S. Agency for International Development likely violated the Constitution and robbed Congress of its authority to oversee the shuttering of an agency it created. The judge also ordered that USAID operations be partly restored, along with email access for all of the agency's employees. Musk defended his role on Fox's Hannity.
The reason I'm here is because I'm very worried about America going bankrupt due to the corruption and waste. And if we don't do something about it, the ship of America is going to sink.
The judge warned that not complying with his order could result in Musk or his team being held in contempt. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
President Trump says he won't stop trying to get violent, illegal alien gang members out of the U.S., despite an activist federal judge demanding to know if the president ignored a court order.
He actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making that determination.
The Trump administration is now looking into how to deal with these violent gangs like Tren de Aragua from Venezuela. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz says Tren de Aragua should be treated like any other terrorist group.
They maim, kill, torture, create mayhem and chaos on our streets in the United States. And I think if you had some of those, tattooed, shaved head men labeled ISIS, then we wouldn't even be having this debate.
This is Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett.
I stand with President Trump. I think it's a complete overreach by this judge. I think it's political overreach by the left. This is an act of war by these countries. These people have come in and they've come across our border illegally. What would happen if 14 million people swarmed the border at one time, yet it was spread out over 4 years? 14 million people. What you consider that an unlawful invasion? It's an act of war.
A new report from the NTSB says sun glare might be to blame for the near miss between a Southwest Airlines flight and a private FlexJet plane at Chicago's Midway International Airport last month. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says while the airport blames sun glare, it was the pilot of the FlexJet who did not listen to instructions from air traffic control.
What we're going to do at FAA is we have a review process to look at the license of pilots. And that's going to be underway to go, should this pilot lose his license for a period of time based on the disregard for the mandates that were sent by air traffic control?
This is the Voice of America, Washington, D.C., signing on.
The Voice of America radio network is on the chopping block. President Trump signed an executive order gutting the propaganda outlet. Steve Jordahl reports.
Last week, President Trump signed an executive order shutting down 7 government programs, among them the United States Agency for Global Media. That's home to the Voice of America, the TV and radio network started in World War II to combat the propaganda of the Nazis. Gary Bauer of American Values says it has since wandered away from its original purpose.
Voice of America was supposed to be a voice of propaganda, propaganda in favor of the United States of America. But like so many other things in this town, they've been turned upside down.
These days, you're as likely to hear a gay pride program as you are one about the First Amendment. It pushes for pro-abortion laws in third world countries.
The corruption is so deep, there's no solution other than just disbanding it and starting over from ground zero.
Besides, Bauer says radio and TV are no longer trending like they were in the 20th century.
Dictatorial regimes can often be undermined by their own citizens getting information on their computer or via their cell phone.
The president signed the executive order last Friday, but he can only zero out their budgets.
This is one of those things that he really can't abolish on his own without congressional action.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
More news online at afn.net and the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
The most important news ever is proclaimed on the new AFR Easter button. He is risen. Wear the button to remind those who see it that Jesus is alive and interceding for us from heaven. Order your AFR Easter buttons at $15 per 10-pack at resources.afa.net or by calling 877-927-4917. Remember, Resurrection Sunday is April 20th. Order your AFR Easter buttons today at 877-927-4917.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues. We got 24 and a half more minutes to go here on the program. I'm Tim with Ed and Wesley, and now joining us is Chris Woodward. Good morning, Brother Chris.
Good morning.
So, Wesley,
oh, boy.
No. I just want you to. I want you to share with our listeners.
My
I want
heart.
you to share your heart with our listeners. That's what Christians do. We share our hearts on how to about the app and about the podcast of this here network and this here show in particular.
I would love to do
In
that.
particular, you like
In
that?
particular.
That's a good Southern expression. In particular.
In particular.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I would love to do that. So I would
I
encourage
like your spirit
everyone.
right there.
Like
I
that.
like, I like
Encourage.
that. I would. No, you said I would love to do.
Oh,
that.
love and encourage. I got them both in the same
Yes.
sentence.
Yes. Go ahead.
I would love to, and to encourage you, the listeners, to download our AFR app. So just go to your app store on any smart device. It could be an iPad, it can be your cell phone, it can be any type of device where you are able to download apps and download the AFR app. Now, the reason it sets it one thing, you can listen to it 24/7 wherever you are, so you don't need a direct signal to a tower in order to listen to AFR through the app. But also, there's other things on the AFR app, content that you're not also going to get on the radio. For example, we have a contemporary Christian music station on the app that you can switch back and forth from. We also have our hybrid station, and we have our talk station, which is what most people are listening to right now. In addition to that, we have all the radio programs archived. So if you were listening to Frank Turek this past weekend and you missed some of it, or you wanted to re-listen to it, or today's issues,
right?
You can go to the AFR app and it's archived there. The second place I would encourage you to go listen to, if you're not an app person and you're just like, I don't want another app, I'm not downloading another app, I don't want to know about it, then go to afr.net. It's that simple. Go to the internet, go to afr.net, and everything I just described is also there as well.
Well, I'm going to do like Elon Musk. I'm going to do a Doge report right here. And if you have apps on your smartphone that's keeping you from having the AFR app, you need to start firing them.
Right.
You need to start deleting them.
Yes.
And get rid of those apps so that you can put the American Family Radio app on, because that's the most important.
Why in the world would you have Candy Crush on your phone?
That's what I'm talking about.
It's keeping you from having AFR.
Right. Well,
one of them's going to get
I
you
think
into
you just
heaven.
speak the truth.
The other one's going to keep you. Okay, maybe I can.
A little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't think it's
I didn't have to save you for that when you saved yourself.
Yes, I was joking.
I don't think Candy Crush damns people to hell. That's a
he
little
called
bit
himself.
Yeah, you did stop short of that.
I was teasing.
Actually, I have breaking news. A left-wing judge has just ruled that you must keep Candy Crush on your phone.
Yes.
Was that right?
Yes.
Well, now I did send this around to everyone here, and we did post it on our Today's Issues Facebook page. The Babylon Bee. They're just comic geniuses.
Yes.
And they had one last night where they had the two astronauts that came back to Earth. I don't know their names. Sonny and whatever.
Butch
Cher.
and Sonny.
Cher?
Butch and Sonny.
Oh, Butch. And the Sundance?
Sonny.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so, and it showed them, and it said, federal judge orders Trump to send the astronauts back to the space station.
Yes.
That's a good one.
There it is right there.
Yeah.
You send it around.
Federal judge orders astronauts to return to the space station.
That's funny.
And I put that, you can go to Babylon Bee probably and get it, but I put it on our Today's Issues Facebook page so you can access it easily.
You did it? You put it on our Facebook page?
Well, no, I don't know how to do that.
That's funny.
I've never had Facebook, nor do I know how to operate it. I know what it is, and that's all.
Yeah.
I know who, what's the guy's name who started Zuckerberg?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. So, but Brent Creeley, our producer,
Prince of a
posted
guy.
on there.
That's funny.
All right. So Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Chris. Chris, what's your first story?
Well, I promised myself every day I'm not going to promote The View anymore by airing clips from their show. But this one was one that we needed to include on this here program where we do often play clips from people on The View. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was on The View defending his leadership position. Now, Democrats are upset with Democrats, including Chuck Schumer, because in their minds he's not doing enough to fight spending cuts. He's not doing enough to fight Trump. He's in favor of spending decisions from the Trump administration, stuff like that. So Chuck Schumer goes on The View to do damage control for his position as Senate Minority Leader, and he defended his position here. Clip 1.
Does somebody who is influential in helping Biden's decision to step aside, do you think it might be time for you to?
No. I think that, my Senate caught first, you asked who's the leader. When we don't have a president, there are a lot of leaders. We have a lot of really strong talent in the Senate, in the House, in the governors. We have a great bench. But as for the Senate caucus, of which I'm the leader, I should be the leader.
There we have it.
Well, is it true or not that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said she is going to primary Chuck Schumer to try to take his Senate seat?
Yeah, I can't say if it's true or not. I can tell you that people have put that out there on social media and even written articles and blogs about that. She
should, or that she is planning to.
Actually, I've seen both. Now, again, that's just social media speculation. And a lot of what you see on social media and even in print is speculative. It's not necessarily nailed down concrete evidence these days. That's unfortunately the way journalism has gone for a number of news outlets. But people have pushed for her to do that. Certainly she has the name recognition to win a statewide office like a Senate seat.
I don't think she could beat Chuck Schumer, personally.
No, she couldn't.
Yeah. So I don't think I think she will probably continue to get reelected in her
It's Brooklyn, right? Isn't she from Brooklyn?
I think it's the
Bronx?
It's one of the boroughs.
Yeah. But I don't think she has statewide power. I don't think she's popular enough within the Democratic Party to get it.
Schumer's like an institution.
Yeah.
Well,
in the state of
Mitch
New York.
McConnell of the Democrat Party.
Yeah. You guys been keeping up with any of this Snow White story? I don't know.
Yeah, basically the controversies surrounding the comments from the actress playing her.
This is the live action version. What Disney has done is going back to all their popular animated films and making live action versions of them. And they're usually scene for scene and the same dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the live action version of Snow White, this actress, I'm not sure what her name is, but she's made some really controversial comments, and Disney has made some boneheaded decisions. Originally, this movie was supposed to be released last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They originally were going to make the Seven Dwarves into a DEI parade. Everybody gets their own representative in the Seven Dwarves.
Yes.
And they didn't like the word dwarves, okay? And now there was so much kickback from the little person community that they have reinstituted animated version, CGI version.
Put a lot of
the
dwarfs out of work.
Well, that was the argument,
They
actually.
didn't get jobs because they were being placed by magical creatures.
Yeah.
But
there's a number of them that are actually in the Screen Actors Guild.
Yes.
Yes.
And they said there's not a lot of jobs available.
Right, as it is.
And
we got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You want to cut us out?
And that's exactly right. I forgot about that. They were going to be replaced with magical creatures.
Yes, that's what they were calling them.
Yeah.
Okay, so this movie was made, I think, about 3 years
Just so y'all know, we had a whiplash of topics right there.
Yes.
We did, but
you
this
get that
is
a lot.
This is important.
Okay.
Snow White.
This movie, I believe, was made about 3 years ago, in the height of wokeism.
Mm-hmm.
Wokeism was
booming.
Yes, it was booming. It was like, this is the way to go. This is
court press.
America's going full court press on DEI and woke and
aircraft started
extreme liberalism and everything. And we're doing away with common sense, what I would call common sense, and the Judeo-Christian view of man. All that's going to the side, and we are entering a glorious place of wokeism. Well, boy, did that change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, so that's when the movie was made, and this actress, her name is Rachel Zegler. Now, I am after Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks, your Tom Selleck, you Tom. After those people, I don't know a lot of the younger actors or actresses.
Right.
I do know a few, but I don't know a lot of them. Okay.
Right.
So
she's brand new.
I didn't know who she was. Okay, so she may have. been a star in some other movie or two that I'm unaware of? But
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll look up her film roles.
But here's the deal. She is an anti-Semite. She is. She doesn't like white people. I'll tell you that at all. She's pretty been clear about that in her comments. She's just a left-wing extremist person in many of her views, and she doesn't mind sharing them. Okay,
And that got her and the movie in trouble.
Yes.
That's right. So you combine the woke, the changes in the original move from the original Snow White to this version, this animated version. I haven't seen it, but they're saying there's several.
I don't think has it been released yet.
It's coming out.
Coming out now. There's been several substantive changes from the original to this movie, and she made comments like criticizing the story itself.
I don't need a man to rescue me.
And she said the prince, when Snow White was unconscious, from folks from eating a poisoned apple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
This was a very sad moment.
It was.
Okay? And she said the prince kissed her to awaken her from that deep sleep. True love's kiss.
That's the original Snow White story.
That's the original Snow White story. She said the prince didn't get permission to kiss her.
That's what the actress said.
Yes. And that's part of the kind of Me Too thing. Now,
yes. So she's been a nightmare for Disney and allowing her to change the story.
Both of those are going to hurt the.
Okay, here's one of my main points. If you're going to take a story that is an American treasure, I don't know. Snow White didn't originate in America, maybe German. I don't know.
It's a Grimm fairy
But
tale.
my point is, it's an American
Classic.
cinematic treasure. One of the first movies put in animation. And if you're going to take that, you have to be true to it, true to the story.
Like it or not.
Like it or not.
Yeah.
If you want to create a woke movie, which Disney can do if they want to, don't take the name of Snow White and try to ram jam or shoehorn your left-wing ideology in there.
That's right. Create another
Create
storyline.
a whole new movie
Yep.
with a whole new genre if you want to.
I agree.
A whole new series of movies, and support your ideas that way. What they're wanting to do here at Disney is they're wanting to use the fans of Snow White, which there are millions of them, and then try to force feed them this left-wing garbage into a new Snow White story.
Bingo.
You see what I'm saying?
I would say that Disney has ruined the Star Wars universe. They've ruined the Marvel universe, which they own both of those, and they are going full bore on ruining their own universe with their own the fairy tale movies.
I know somebody from media. Somebody in the media world took her children to Disney recently, and
Talking about the theme park?
Yes, the one in Florida. And she mentioned how it was odd because normally when you go to Disney, when there's a new film coming out or one that's in theaters, it's everywhere. You know, there's T-shirts, there's marketing.
No, they're trying to downplay it.
Yeah, they're basically ignoring.
It's going to bomb.
Now, they already lost their shirt many years ago with John Carter on Mars. It was a live-action sci-fi thing, and they lost a ton of money to the point that the head of Disney at the time got fired. And so they're going to lose a ton more money with this.
Okay, listen to what Zegler, the lead actress in Snow White, said in November. She said, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace," before adding blank Donald Trump. And she used the vulgar word that we've all heard.
Yeah, sure.
Blank Donald Trump.
Which is unifying, brings peace.
Yes.
It brings everybody to the table. We want to hear you
So
out, right?
she's taking a majority of Americans and she's dissing them publicly while she's got a movie coming out that Disney wants to at least break even with.
Yeah, and they're not.
And they're not going to. And she should have had some kind of written contract with Disney saying you you're forbidden from talking about national politics.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You just need to talk about the movie.
Plus, let me just say this. This is going to come out across a little bit ugly.
All right.
Okay.
Did you say it?
All right. I'm going to say it. So the original animated version, the Wicked Queen looks in the mirror, 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 who's the fairest of all? And the mirror says, well, Snow White. Because the Wicked Queen was not as pretty as Snow White.
Right.
Well, guess what? In this movie, the Wicked Queen is a lot prettier than Snow White. It's Gal Gadot,
the Wonder Woman.
The Wonder Woman.
She's an act. She's a model, right?
She's like a model. And who's going to believe the mirror in this movie?
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that this young lady plays
she's
Snow
pretty.
White. She's not ugly, but nobody's going to believe the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to go see the movie.
You know, earlier this year, we reported this on AFN. We talked about it on the show. But Disney announced back in February that they were shifting away from DEI and they were getting back to just making movies, right?
Right.
So if that's really what they're planning on doing after this debacle, and it's going to be a disaster for them, they're going to lose money. It's no doubt. It's inevitable. They need to sit down with their film department and all the creative people and go, no more of this stuff.
Right. I think they have done that. I think that's why I said the movie was made 2-3 years ago, and they thought woke was, emerging as the new way of the world, and now it's not, and they're sort of having to readjust. But having this lead actress out here just dissing and offending more than half of America. Now I know the movie will go worldwide, but it's just crazy that Disney allows this to happen, and they're not putting much money into promotion of this that I've been able to see. They're just hoping to get it behind them, and maybe it won't sink the ship, so to speak. One other thing about this is, let me ask you a question, and I don't know the answer to this. I think I do, but Snow White, the story, is that because her skin is white?
Snow White?
Or is that have nothing to do with the story?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I'm gonna consider.
I wonder because
she's Latino.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she's
Colombian.
the current the actress.
That's
the,
right.
the
Yeah,
real.
Okay. According to the internet, which may or not be accurate, Snow White is called Snow White because in the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale, the queen wishes for a daughter, quote, with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. And upon giving birth to such a daughter, she names her Snow White.
Okay. Listen, this is not a big deal. I don't really care, but it seems to me like if you have a role that requires somebody to be a certain skin color, why wouldn't you make them that?
It's the DI stuff.
Listen, it sounds like it's a big deal. It's not a big deal to me either. I just don't. If something's woke, I just don't watch it. But it's like movies where they're gonna have Vikings in it, and they want to make the Vikings black. Okay, now listen. There were black tribes in Africa that were just as fierce warriors as the Vikings.
Did they ever fight? The Vikings in the
Well, the Vikings did fight the
like
Moors
in the
in
Congo
North
or
Africa.
Angola or anywhere like
yeah,
that.
no, I don't think they went down that into the heart of the continent. But I'm just saying, try to be historically accurate. The Vikings were Scandinavian. They were Danes. Okay, they were Norwegians. They were Swedes. Those weren't black people,
Right.
Or Asian.
or Asian for that matter.
I got my
all
own
I'm
rant.
saying is you're going to lose people who like Vikings if you try to make them think that Vikings were black or, to your point, or Asian.
One thing about DEI that I've noticed is that it's not diverse like they want it to be, right? Okay, so like, for example, they might make something, a television show film, where they might have a person of color play a historically white Viking or something, right? But like you never see Chris Pratt cast as Black Panther.
Right, but that's the point of DEI and woke is we're making up for past injustices.
So it's everybody but white people.
Yes, because they've had privilege.
It is, yeah.
I'm being serious. That's their line of thought.
Go ahead, Wes. You got a rant?
Is because of past injustices, so you can't use white people.
That's
to
why
be black
on Snow White
characters.
we need a Hispanic girl, not a white girl, because we need to punish those white people for their past injustices.
That's
is that what
the ideology.
Okay, go ahead, Wesley.
All right, I got my own, and I got 4 minutes. I won't use it all.
Okay.
So on the way to school this morning, I was helping my son
Still in school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On the way to school.
On the way to take my children to school, I was helping my son, 9 years old, finish up some of his homework.
Yeah.
One of the questions, one of the pages was, what is a hyperbole by definition? And then it was, give us some examples. So we went through that. Actresses like this, or those on the left like this, I just have the eye roll, and it's nauseating to hear their hyperbole of how bad things are in America when they are themselves making millions off of the American dream.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know what her timeline is of coming to America, but she says she's Colombian. So I don't know if she, I guess, born here or not born here. I don't know. But her family's Colombian. So we can figure out if she's born here or not. But the point is, she's making Donald Trump, President Trump, and his administration and his teams and the things that he's doing are not directly affecting or hurting her.
Right, but she wants to act like it's that Donald Trump and his. Go ahead.
She was
It's
born
hyperbole.
she was born in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now she may be like I'm half Italian, half Greek, so she has one or both sides of her family are Colombian, but she's an American.
But you understand what I'm saying? These young adults, even mostly young adults, teenagers, 20, 30-year-olds who are live in America acting like it is just the worst place to live ever.
Right, while they're making a killing.
They're making
Listen,
and it's just
in
like,
high school, she went to Immaculate Conception High School in Lodi, New Jersey, an American private Roman Catholic all-girls college and preparatory high school.
Very privileged.
So, listen, she wasn't selling pencils on a street corner to put food on the table.
She had wealth privilege.
Yeah.
She had wealth. And listen.
Which is great. It's awesome if you can do
that's
that.
America. I would say this, too. Had Disney made a movie, a live-action movie, true to the story of Snow White as it was originally written and originally done on film, had they made a movie, they would make so much money.
Yeah.
They couldn't even contain the coffers.
That's right.
But no, we got to force feed America, bunch of bigots.
Yes.
We need to force feed these bigots our DEI changes.
Right.
In Snow White.
And you got to know, think about how stressful it is to be in a meeting to recreate something that's unnecessary, that you could go, this is the stress. You can take the burden off people by going, we're just going to copy what they've already done.
Yeah.
It's
it's the movie that made Disney Disney. Like, they already had Mickey, but, like, it became Disney because of Snow White.
We need to improve on this. How can we improve on, we need to remind America how bigoted they are and how sexist they are.
Listen, to your point, Disney has made animated films with non-white people.
Yeah.
Moana, I think that's
it's coming.
It's Moana.
Moana. Okay, Moana. And they've had those movies and they've done very well.
Mulan.
Yeah.
I know. It's like they're on a suicide mission or something. I don't know. All right. My thanks to Brent Creeley, our producer, Chris, Ed, Wesley.
Thank you for all your stories, Chris.
Thank you.
We got
I
lost on
had
Snow
many.
White.
I kind of diverted the show.
Oh, it's fine.
I liked it.
It was an executive
All
order.
right. And my thanks to Fred for the last hour and Robert Gagnon, too. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildmon, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, our tours this year are 2/3 filled up already. Pretty amazing.